going to talk about 5 things to do with fulfillment to help us feel fulfilled up to the festive season. So number 1 is the question is, what is fulfillment for you? Well, I went onto the Google and asked the Google what is fulfillment, and it said the achievement of something desired, promised or predicted. Winning the championship was the fulfillment of a childhood dream. I thought that's a really interesting definition. Desired, so something you want. Something promised, maybe you've promised to yourself. And something predicted, i.e. you've predicted the future. You're thinking forward, okay? The second definition was the meeting of a requirement, condition or need, the fulfillment of the statutory requirements was the example. It's a bit boring, that one, isn't it? But it means about fulfilling a requirement, fulfilling something that is needed. So I'm going to ask you a question, folks. What does fulfillment mean to you? Maybe you want to post it in the comments. What does fulfillment mean for you? For me, fulfillment is an emotion. For me, it's an emotion that I take on board inside and I feel fulfilled. How do I feel fulfilled? Well, it's usually when I've done something and I get that happy feeling, usually from my belly, that surges up to my head and that makes me smile. And when I feel fulfilled, I really do feel it in the sort of the belly area going up, and then it makes me smile. And that's how I feel fulfilled. How do I do that? It's when I see something done, when I step back from something, and I just take a moment to go, wow, this is great. For me, emotion like that creates emotion. So yesterday, I was planning for today. I did the exercise I'm going to talk about in a minute with you, and that has created lots of motion for me today and happy emotions. It's made me feel great, bubbled up, and I'm smiling and I'm talking to you guys here. So so what does fulfillment mean to you, and where does it come from in your body? How do you feel fulfillment? Do you feel like it's wrapped wrapped a cape around you, that you feel warm, you feel fuzzy? Is it about you've ticked all those things off that list? Is it about sitting back and praising yourself for a job well done? So what does it mean to you? What do you say to yourself when you feel fulfilled? How do you feel? What do you see? What do you hear? So just for a moment, imagine you are feeling fulfilled. What's happening in your body now? How does it manifest? How does that emotion create emotion? How does that emotion create motion? And how does that motion create emotion? And I think that's a circle that can go up, or a spiral that can go up. So emotion goes up, or it can go down. It can go down. Why not let it go up? So what we need to do now for step 1 of what we're doing is feel fulfillment. Feel fulfillment. And practice it. Imagine it in your head. Imagine it's the end of the year coming up and you have done what you wanted to do. You've picked 5, and that's one of the things we're going to do later, 5 things that are going to give you fulfillment over the next couple of weeks up to the festive season. Practice that emotion. Number 1 is practice fulfillment. Know what it is, know how it feels, know how you can get it. So step number 2 in this ideas for feeling fulfillment up to the end of the festive season. Well, for me, you need to get a big piece of paper out. And I've talked about this before. We talk about this a lot. Get a big piece of paper and you need to have, drum roll, a mind dump. You need to get stuff out your head. And that's what I did yesterday. But I did it with this emotion of fulfillment, with this anticipation of fulfillment. I got myself into the state of fulfillment. And I wrote down 5 things. Well, I wrote down lots of things, actually. Things that would make me feel fulfilled over the next 6 weeks. So, a spa day. That would make me feel fulfilled. I could sit back and relax. I'm working on a big project. There's a lot of us working on a big project at the moment. We all know what that is. No, it's not like a bird or anything. It's a book. There's a number of people working on the book at the moment. How would that feel for me? I wrote down about the house and what I'm doing in the house at the moment. what I'm doing in my work, what I'm doing with some other people I'm working with. I'm working on a volunteer project at the moment within the theatre industry, which is fantastic. And I wrote everything down. I'm just mind dumped. I also wrote down all the little things that would make me feel, hoover the front room, dust this, pack that away, pay my bill, which I've been wanting to pay for ages, take some files off the computer and put it elsewhere, upload some videos to YouTube. I wrote all these down. And then what I did was I said to myself 2 questions. Number 1, what 5 things on this list or this mind dump, if I got them done over the working up to the festive season, would I feel fulfilled? And I've picked 5. And I've picked 5 and I've committed to doing those 5. And then I also got another pen out, another highlighter, get your little highlighter out. It was a yellow one. And I highlighted all the little things. So it's not just the big things to feel fulfilled, it's the little things to feel fulfilled. And that's what I've been doing all morning. I've been doing those little things. I was up at 8 o'clock this morning, well, early. I had breakfast at 8. I was out to the tip. I took stuff to the tip. I had a list of 29 things, and I've done, where are you? I've done 22 of them. And it was about doing the files, and I've done 2 videos to YouTube, and I've got 1 more to do now. There was something in the house I had to do. I'm not going to bore you with my list, but I got them all out the way. And how I did it is my 25-minute Pomodoro technique. But you can use what Michael Heppel talks about, his 17-minute sprints, and other people talk about different things. And I've blasted them, and I feel fulfilled. So that was number 2. So number 2 basically was mind dump, 5 things that are big things, and little things, get them done. Number 3 in our feeling fulfillment before the festive season is clearing the decks. Now, you may have heard that Christmas song, Clear the Decks, with bows of holly, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. I should never sing on these, should I? But that's all about clearing up and then decorating. So I think one of the things we forget about feeling fulfilled is how our environment, and environment is key, how it affects our mood, how it affects our well-being, how it affects what we're doing. I think personally, and other people may disagree, and I think there's a couple of statements and sayings about that. When I have clutter, I don't feel sort of in control. I feel a little bit out of sorts when there's clutter. And I like to tidy up. Now, by the way, some people like to tidy up when they really need to start a project or gain momentum with it or finish it, and they opt for tidying up. Often you hear if someone's got a really big project, they've got the most tidiest house and cleanest garage, and underneath the stairs are done and the cupboards are done underneath the sink and everything, because they've been putting it off. So some people do that. But I would say number 3 tip for feeling fulfilled is clean up your environment. Pick an area, pick a room, have a bit of declutter, have a bit of a spruce, have a bit of a clean, maybe a bit of a paint if you want, if you're into all that sort of stuff. But why don't you have a bit of a declutter? And as I said, part of my 29 things, one of them was to go to the tip and I took all the bottles out of the bottle bin because it was full. I keep forgetting to put my bottle bin out. So I took them, that empty bin now, and I've done it a quick wash with a bit of cleaning fluid and a bit of water, which has been great. What else? I took some paper, some cardboard and things which I've been trying to get rid of. That's been recycled. And then I took an old chair that I've popped to the recycling, and that's done. So that was fantastic to do that. So I've had a bit of a clear in the decks. Okay. Number 4 then. No, so number 3 was about your environment. So think about your environment, about feeling fulfilled in your environment. If I asked you now, do you have a place in your home or your office, or do you have a quiet space that you can just go and be? Why don't you go to your quiet space and feel fulfilled? Practice what we said in number 1. There's a lot here in this, isn't it? As you can see, I was excited about this. I will go over it with a summary at the end. Number 4. Right, so I've picked 5 things to do. 5 things to do over the next 7 weeks. And I, yesterday, basically got a chart, a piece of paper out, and I did 6 rows, because one was a column, one was a title row, and then I did 6 7 rows. So no columns. What we're talking about? I did 6 rows, so that was 5 things, and then I did 6 columns, 7 columns, which were the weeks. And what I did, instead of writing at the start of what I was going to do each week, leading up to feel fulfilled as I'm going through, I wrote the final end product in the last column. So I wrote the final end product, the last thing in the column. So one of the things I have committed to do is to tidy up all my files, folders and videos and things and get them all onto YouTube or get them onto places where people can access them, because people keep asking me, Steve, have you got a video on, or have you got any ideas on? Well, I just want to be able to say, yeah, have a look over there, or I'll show you where it is. So I've committed by the end of, by the festive season, everything will be done. And I've worked out how many I've got to do. And I've basically gone backwards to this week, where I've said what I'm going to commit to each week. And then all I need to do is read forwards. So did you get that? So at the end, that's what you desired, that's what you want. And then at the start, you work your way backwards to that and you get to that point. So that's what I've done. So that's tip number 4, is to go back to your 5 things that you've done in your fulfillment, feeling fulfilled, your feeling fulfilled, 5 feeling fulfilled list. It's a shame the list doesn't start with F. 5, whatever, it doesn't matter. Your 5 feeling fulfilled list. And I've gone back to steps. And that's called, in the world of NLP, if anybody's NLP'd or knows about that, it's called chunking. You're breaking things down to little chunks. I don't think NLP, by the way, owns the word chunking, but it's a technique. It's one of those tools, one of those tips, one of those strategies. And then you've got to remember the sayings that we keep talking about all the time, right? The sayings we keep talking about all the time. Come on, shout them out loud. I'm watching you through the screen. What gets scheduled gets done. Shout it out to me. Write it in the comments so it's reinforced. What gets scheduled gets done. I also like to add, what gets rewarded gets repeated. And my final little saying is, what gets reviewed gets improved. So what gets scheduled gets done. So get those steps in your diary. And then step number 5 is do them. And at every stage, take a step back and celebrate what you've done. Give yourself a high five. High five the screen. Give yourself a cup of tea or a glass of water. Go for a walk. Do something, little simple things that you're building that fulfillment muscle, which is the thing we talked about in tip number 1. What gets celebrated gets, or what gets rewarded gets repeated. What gets celebrated gets repeated. What gets rewarded gets repeated. And then review as you're going along, because what gets reviewed gets improved, as we've talked about. So that was some tips on ways to feel fulfillment over the festive season. Nobody needs to give you a gift. Nobody needs to go to a shop and buy you a teddy bear. Nobody needs to buy you the 24 Advent calendar box set. Oh, that's another one of my things. I'll talk about that another time. Nobody needs to buy you anything, do anything for you. You can feel fulfillment yourself. So number 1, and I'm going to go back. So here we go. Here's a summary. Number 1, what's fulfillment for you? What do you feel? How do you feel it? Practice that feeling. Take some time to feeling fulfilled. You know, that achievement of something desired or promised or predicted. Number 2, get a mind dump going. Get that big sheet of paper out and write all the things that you want to get done. And you might not get them all done. You might not get them all done, or all the things that make you feel fulfilled. So a couple of things on my fulfillment was about going on holiday. I'm not going on holiday the next couple of weeks, but at least I know that gives me some fulfillment. What else on the list? I've not got it in front of me, actually. I should have had it in front of me. What else gives me doing a 10k walk gives me fulfillment. I love that feeling of going on a really, really really long walk, and then you come back and you go, wow, I've done that, and you feel shattered, and you go and have a shower, and then you celebrate. And I love that feeling of I've just been on a 10k walk. Amazing. What else fulfills me? Posting. I love posting. I'm playing with Instagram at the moment. You probably have seen that. That gives me fulfillment. I love it when I get my little likes and my little ticks and my little comments on Instagram and on Facebook as well. Actually, it's really fun when people comment on what you're doing. That gives me fulfillment. Positive comments. Number two, then, we've done number two. We've done that mind dump, get it down. Number three is your environment. Clear the decks, get ready for that holly. Clear the decks, get rid of the clutter. That makes people feel fulfilled, doesn't it? Make sure you're recyclable. Maybe make sure you gift things to people. Okay, don't try and cut down the waste. Try and think about your next purchases. Maybe one of the things to think about up to the festive season, we get bombarded with lots of info about buying stuff. Maybe we don't need to buy as much. Maybe we can give a little bit, or maybe we just don't buy it and we just sit back and go, yeah, that was a nice idea, but perhaps we don't do that. I saw a lady yesterday in the supermarket, and she was with her friend, and she said, oh, those biscuits, they're on offer. Great. I'll get a couple of packets of those, the tins. I'll get a couple of tins of those just in case. Just in case what? What's going to happen? Now, I didn't butt in, obviously that would have been rude, but just in case. How many things are you going to buy over the festive period just in case? Maybe this lady has lots of people coming around for biscuits and tea, and which is fantastic. But she wasn't planning for it. It was just in case. I've gone off on the tangent again, sorry. Number 4 was break those 5 fulfillment things down. Take a step backwards, do it backwards, plan it from what you want to where you are now, and then you can work forward through the weeks, because what gets scheduled gets done. And the last thing is do all that stuff, take a step back and celebrate. Celebrate that amazing stuff and feel fulfilled and build up that fulfillment muscle. So number 1, what makes you feel fulfilled? Number 2, do a mind dump. Number 3, clear your environment. Number 4, break those 5 fulfillment things that you've come up with in your mind dump and you got on the paper. Break them down into steps. And then number 5, do them. Yes, what's scheduled gets done. And then step back and celebrate and feel fulfilled.